I'm not the Matrix. Wrong guy. The stat, baby.
The power and fury of Amar'e Stoudamire. Vicious slam dunk by Amar'e Stoudamire. Look out, hello, Amar'e Stoudamire elevates and detonates. That was savage.
Talk about living here in Miami. I mean, I know you're in New York some of the time as well, but why is this home for you?
Well, Miami is, it's just a beautiful place to live. You know, the weather's nice year round. My family's here. I grew up in Orlando, close to Orlando, which is a 3-hour drive away. Everything I need is here. You know, my children, my family's here. My cigar lounge I go to is here.
Amar'e, thanks for allowing us to come out here to Miami to visit you, talk about the Ring of Honor. But first, tell us about the Empire and your love of cigars.
Yeah, the Empire is a great place to hang out, watch the game, smoke a cigar, have a conversation. You know, Alex, the guy that runs the place, is always top notch. He's always taking care of us. It's a great place to hang out.
Talk about the Ring of Honor. Going into that ring with so many Suns legends. First, the phone call that you received from the new owner, Matt Ishbia. What was that like? What was said, and what was your initial reaction? I
was actually getting ready to celebrate my son's birthday. And I got a call from Matt. He said, hey, this is Matt. I have something I want to tell you. And he's like, we're gonna put you into the Ring of Honor. I was like, no way. You know, I was super excited about it. I tried to hold my composure at the moment just to continue the conversation with him. And he felt my excitement. And that night I had a birthday dinner for my son, so I broke the news to them at dinner. It was just a celebratory moment.
Yeah, what did that mean to your kids? I mean, so many were young when you were playing initially with the Suns.
Yeah, I mean, 3 of my oldest children were born in Phoenix, Arizona. For them to now see that their dad is getting honored with the Ring of Honor. During those times when I played, they were too young to remember a lot of those moments, but now they see all the work that was put in and the time of me traveling with the team and being away. Now they see what it was all about.
And what's it like for you to go in the same season as Shawn Marion, and now 3 members of 7 Seconds or Less, yourself, Shawn, and of course Steve Nash, up in the Ring of Honor together?
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, all 3 of us had such a great experience playing together. It was so much fun. It was so much excitement. We were just having fun playing basketball. Now we see that how special that moment was with all 3 of us now being honored into the Ring of Honor.
Did you reconnect or connect with Shawn when you knew he was going in this season as well?
Yeah, I called him right away. I was like, congratulations, man. You know, you did it. Like, you know, it was just one of those moments of me calling him because we had so many years together playing. You know, knowing Steve was a playmaker, and for us being at the right place at the right time, being able to benefit from a true point guard, having those conversations and then gelling and making it all happen. So I called Shawn right away and gave him a congratulations.
What other guys up in the Ring of Honor right now are you most proud to join?
I mean, obviously, you know, Charles Barkley, being that I was a power forward and watching him play and the way he played with the force that he played with, it's always great to be in the Ring of Honor with him. Connie Hawkins, who was a guy, I was a young player at the time, and we had conversations about what it took to be great. And he was always like happy that I was able to palm the ball the way he did as a basketball player, you know, and seeing those guys. I mean, even Tom Chambers, the time that we had together, and just talking about the game and how to, you know, to really oppose your will in the basketball game. But being in the Ring of Honor with those guys, Dan Marley, for an example, you know, was very helpful in my career by just passing over knowledge and information that helped me succeed. So being up there with those guys is a big honor.
You mentioned the 7 Seconds or Less. How did you help revolutionize the game of basketball? How did that team revolutionize the game?
I think it was more so of us being positionless. You know, Sean was a natural small forward, but he played this power forward. You know, sometimes guarded the centers. You know, I'm a natural power forward, maybe small forward, depending on my agility and quickness, but I played power forward and center back and forth. So we were able to somewhat transcend the game by not really having a position, but yet being able to be versatile within the game.
When you go back to that first season when Steve Nash returned, 04-05, and you guys started the year 31-4. I mean, you guys were clicking right away. And I was talking to Sean Marion about this too. He said, when we were on the road, we were like the Beatles. We were like rock stars. How would you describe it?
It was unbelievable the amount of love that we were receiving from all the opposing team fans and the amount of success we were having. The fourth quarter, we were all rest. That was the game plan. Let's go out and get these guys out of here. They're going to be tired by the time we finish the third quarter, and we can rest in the fourth. So we took pride in being the most top-shaped team. And so therefore, fourth quarter came around, teams were huffing and puffing, grabbing their shorts, and we're still just breezing along.
Yeah.
And that's why we started winning by 10, 20 points fourth quarter. We'll rest in the fourth quarter.
Talk about the role that Steve Nash played. You know, not only engineering the offense, orchestrating that, but his leadership too when he came back to Phoenix for the second time.
Yeah, it was great because we needed a point guard. We had myself, Sean Marion, Joe Johnson there. And so we were like, hey, we need somebody to help us somewhat facilitate this. And the perfect guy was available at the perfect time, and that was Steve.
Here comes Nash. He's got Amar'e to his right, elevates and detonates.
And when Steve came along with us, his leadership, the way he played the game was impeccable for us because he was a unselfish player. So he was able to get us all involved. He was able to bring the best out of us, and he was a guy, a pass-first point guard. So therefore, we're like, oh, this is great. We don't have to work too hard. You know what I'm saying? It made our life so much easier. And that's the gift that Steve has, is that he's just a selfless guy, and he's able to get everybody involved.
You guys obviously had so much success, but there were also those challenges and the playoffs, and whether it be injuries to Joe Johnson or Raja Bell. Is there any regret, or when you look back on that in terms of the playoffs and getting so close? Obviously the joy of playing with these guys, and again, the successes, but feeling like, oh, if only this hadn't happened. The suspension, you know.
Yeah, those things, man, you can't, it's hard to say, right? Because you would love to take those back. So those injuries you will want to try to take back. You wish you never gotten injured. Suspension, for example. We never heard of the rule you can't step on the basketball court if something happens. No one talked about that. We had no idea that was even a rule. And then we thought maybe we'd just get a warning because it's just, we never heard this before. And when the suspension came out, that was just shocking to us that would happen in such a pivotal, playoff series. So those moments were devastating for myself, I'm sure for Boris as well. And you wish you could take those back because that year was our year.
Amar'e shoots it up, follows the shot. He got his own rebound, puts it up and in. Eddie, I don't believe what I'm seeing tonight.
Now see, that's a man.
Amar'e follows and takes him through. Amar'e wheeling in against the stair pitch inside to Amar'e. Beautiful ball handling and passing. Amar'e gets it inside to Amar'e, and he's got 34.
So that rookie year, that game in Minnesota against Kevin Garnett, I mean, do you feel like that was the turning point in that rookie season where all of a sudden, boom, and you became Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
You beat out Yao Ming, who was the #1 overall pick.
Yeah.
But was that the game that you feel like was the key?
That was a turning point. Mm-hmm. That game right there in itself, because the game was very competitive. And what got me over the hump in that game was it was Stephon and Garnett going back and forth, kind of arguing.
Yeah.
And then Stephon's like, well, Stoudamire's better than you when you was that age. And then Garnett says something about me. I'm like, wait, hold on now. And so that little interaction motivated me to want to go at Garnett even more. It gave me confidence to know that I can hold my ground with the game's best.
The game's best and maybe the fiercest competitor that the NBA had at that point too. And so you go on and win Rookie of the Year. What did that mean to you then, and what does it mean to you now?
Winning Rookie of the Year was a big point for me, because being a high school player, to go to the pros, and then to end up being the first high school player in NBA history to win the Rookie of the Year award. You know, I'm fresh out of high school, battling Yao Ming, who's, you know, one of the game's best. I mean, even at his rookie year, he was considered, you know, competing against Shaq and being one of the top players in the league. And for me to beat out Yao Ming for Rookie of the Year was a big moment for me.
Who helped you out that rookie year? You mentioned you had a number of veterans.
Scott Williams was always there for me. He always talked to me about the game, asked him questions about Michael Jordan. Googs was always right there with me. I used to go to his place and play fantasy football. Penny Hardaway, I would talk to him about business and go to his office, go to his home. I would ask him about certain free throw techniques and these things. You know, and so everyone on that team I've talked to and asked questions, you know, and everybody helped out the best way they could. And they saw the potential and they wanted to help, and it felt great to have that camaraderie.
Take me back to the draft. I'll never forget, we had heard your name out there, and as we're waiting for the Suns and the draft to move on to number 9, the Clippers had the 8th pick. Like, oh, don't take Amar'e. And they took Chris Wilcox. Where were you at the time in terms of knowing the Suns had interest and wanting to be a member of the organization?
Well, when I had my pre-draft workouts, word in the street at the time was those were the best pre-draft workouts that happened in a long time, right? And so I figured I made a pretty good impression on, you know, Mr. Colangelo and the staffing. And so I figured that, you know, if I'm around, that Phoenix may take me.
With the 9th pick in the 2002 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select Amar'e Stoudamire from Cypress Creek High School in Orlando, Florida.
What happened in that workout? Because a lot of us were outside the doors, and they didn't open up the doors to the media until you'd been working out for about 20 or 30 minutes. And something happened in the first 20 or 30 minutes of that workout. And I've heard some whispers taken off from the free throw line.
Yeah, it was a lot going on, man. I was really trying to show off my full athleticism. I wanted to, again, dominate was always my mindset since I was in high school. That's why I dunked so much, because it felt like domination. Anytime you dunk on someone, it felt like you dominated that person. So that was like that was my MO, right? And so during that workout, there was a few guys. One guy, you know, he had gold teeth at the time. And I think it was a pass that was given to me, and I took off from I don't know where, outside the paint. And when I dunked on him, he flew back to the back of the wall. His gold tooth came out, and everyone's like, "Oh, what was that? what just happened?" And so I was like, "Oh yeah, you know." And I was like, "I'm just being me, having fun, guys." You know what I'm saying? But he's on the back on the wall. His tooth is out of his mouth. He's like, "What? This kid is crazy."
Where did that aggression and that ferocity come from? I mean, it started obviously in that pre-draft workout in terms of doing it in front of the Suns.
Yeah.
But you carried that throughout your entire career.
Yeah, I was all in high school. There's rumors, you know, that I might have been one of the most dominant high school players to ever play. There's me, Alonzo Mourning, are the two names that come to mind when they talk about dominant high school players of all time. And so there's games where I had 16 dunks in a game in high school. It was just so easy for me. And so my aggressive nature toward the basket, it was a natural thing. I love shaking the rim. I love hanging on the rim. It was like something exciting about it for me that gives me a certain rush that I can't get nowhere else. It's like going skydiving or something. You just get this adrenaline rush. It's the same thing. When you dunk on someone, you hang on the rim, you get this emotion that just takes over your body. And I fell in love with it.
You talk about some of your big dunks. I mean, everybody talks about the O'Donnell foil.
Yeah.
Stoudamire again attacks the rack, rips the rim.
The Olowokandi.
Stoudamire and one, and the rookie powers to the rack. Oh my!
And my personal favorite, the Tolliver dunk. Mm-hmm. For you, which one stands out?
Wow, man, so many. My rookie year, when Stephon Marbury drops the bounce pass off, And I dunked all the way Camby, who was one of the top defensive players at that time. And the way the ball went through the rim and the sound that came from that, just shook the whole stadium. The Donald Foyle one, you don't see too many guys dunking on someone with two hands. You see a one-hand dunk on because you get a little bit more elevation with the one hand, but two hands is like chest to chest, And so I think that was also one of my top dunks. The Tolliver one was a close game against Steph Curry and the Warriors, and Tolliver wanted to jump with me, and I took it as like a challenge, So I mean, I think the Tolliver dunk might be my top one.
Winds up in the lap of Richardson. Up ahead, look out. Hello, Amar'e Stoudamire elevates and detonates.
Are you kidding me?
Devastating dunk here in Oakland. Maybe the top dunk of his career. That was savage.
But it was just one of those moments where it's a fourth quarter, few minutes left. It was a momentum changer, tight game, and it was just one of those times where again, that adrenaline rush took over.
How would you describe the people that live here? Again, it's just a wide variety of
Miami's crazy, man. You gotta have a sound mind for Miami. It's like you got the party scenes, you have the people that are just here just to mess around. But for me, I just have a nice sense of focus. I have a consistent schedule. I have my gym where I train is here. And most of my time now is spent with the children. That's my ideal space right now. I played 18 years pro, overseas for a few years, and so being away from the children as they develop and grow was hard for me. So now that I'm retired, I have more time to spend with them and just be a part of their life and their growth. And that's why I'm here basically, is just to spend time with them mostly.
Right field.
down the road? What are your goals physically?
Just to look good.
There you go.
You want to look good, man. You know, that's the idea. Is just continue to look good and feel good. You know, I felt like when I persevered through all my injuries, it was excruciating training throughout all these years, and I got addicted to training. Like I'm just addicted to it and training perfectly, right? Because come back from a microfracture or from a scope or what have you, you got to attack the training like perfectly. So that just became an addiction for me now. So training is like a part of my life.
Al Thornton rising up on top of Amar'e Stoudamire, who took a shot to the head. Crouched over underneath the Clippers bucket.
You overcame a lot of physical challenges during your career. When you go back to the microfracture surgery, the detached retina, and every time you were faced with a challenge like that, you came back stronger and better, adding to your toolkit.
Yeah, that was the idea. I look at the glass half full, right? Going through the microfracture was one of the hardest recoveries I've ever been through in my life. It's nothing like it before. Never heard of microfracture, never knew what the recovery process would be like. Had no idea it'd be so excruciating. An attached retina, never heard of that before. Went to go see a doctor, like, hey, my eye, I just want to have a checkup on my eye and see how things are going. You have to have an emergency procedure. I'm like, what? There's no way. What does that mean? We just got Shaq. We're trying to win a championship. He's like, well, your season's over. And Shaq's my favorite player growing up. So I'm like, I want to enjoy this moment. I had 41 points last night, Doc. What do you mean? I'm like, I'm good. It's like, if it continues, gravity can pull, and it can pull your retina, and you'll lose your eye. I'm like, oh my God, man, this can't be happening. Then I had to go through the procedure. Then the recovery was laying face down for 22 hours a day for 10 days. I had books piled up to here, reading. I had documentaries I was just watching the whole time. And that's what I did. I took it as like a moment of just learning and just time to reflect. And those 10 days were tough, but I was able to make it through it.
And again, you're adding different elements to your game after the knee surgery, after the eye. You've got to play with goggles now.
Yeah.
But your footwork, your jump shot, like you developed other parts of your game to continue to grow.
Yeah, I definitely did. I mean, I always wanted to come back with something new. That was my motto even before the injuries. every summer come back with something new. Whatever I couldn't do the year before, I have to be able to do that the following year and then just keep building that way. So even with the injuries, I had to do the same thing. I had to come back with something new, you know, and something better. And had to wear goggles, which I was like, oh my God. I used to tease Bo Outlaw every day in practice. Put his goggles on, oh, look at me, I'm Bo Outlaw. You know, and the next thing you know, 5 years later, I gotta wear them. You know what I'm saying? So what a change of a turn of events, but it was for protection, you know, to protect my eye going forward, and I made the best of it.
The power and fury of Amar'e Stoudamire.
All right, so when you're choosing a cigar, what are you looking for?
Medium body, nothing too heavy. Easy smoke. You don't inhale, and the taste is where it's at.
All right.
Yeah.
And you're also you're into wines. You have your own Stoudamire wine.
Yep.
A number of them. You have reds and whites.
Reds,
Paso
white,
Robles? Is that
rosé.
Okay.
Out of Paso Robles. I used to throw these wine tasting events in my place in New York.
Okay.
And a buddy of mine who provided the wines and the drinks for us mentioned that you should have your own wine, man. You love wine, you do this all the time. And from that conversation, it happened.
Nash on the drive over to Stoudamire. He scores at 41 points for Amar'e Stoudamire. 41 big ones. Suns are going to win it, square the series. It's over. Suns win. Suns win.
It's that 09-10 team that went to the West Finals against the Lakers. Grant Hill says that was probably his most enjoyable season in his NBA career. You guys came together. You had the starting five, you had a backup five. Both units were supporting each other. How special was that for you?
Great. Amazing, right? I had such great veteran guys around with Grant Hill. Obviously, Steve was one of the vet positive influences. We had a solid group of guys. We all hung out together. We all talked about positive information. There was no negative conversations in our gatherings at all. It was all about how can we get better? What can we do as a team to improve? How can we beat these guys? Let's strategize. Let's go and have dinner as a team. The guys, wine tasting at my place, or let's watch the game at your place. Like, it was just such a great group of guys with no ego, and it was a fun camaraderie to be around.
LB, it's not the way it goes.
So how'd it go?
It goes, well, my friend, the time has come.
Well, my friend, the time has come.
To raise the roof and have some fun.
To raise the roof until we won't be. All night long, all night, all night, all night long, all night.
I tell anybody who will listen when I'm talking about the Suns and some of the greats that have walked into that locker room, you're my favorite success story because you had every reason to go off course and you never did.
Right.
How did you stay so strong?
I mean, for one, I stayed prayed up. I said my prayers almost every night on my knees because I wanted to have that connection with God. I wanted to always have just a moment of like clarity. It's like meditation in a way, right? You just kind of have that moment of clarity. And basketball allowed me to have an avenue to not go on this path. I'd rather go to the courts and play. You guys want to go hang out over there? I'm going to the court, right? So it gave me an avenue. And just being raised right? I had positive influences in my life. My coaches, my father, my uncles, my cousins, they were all positive influences. And I was always a guy, even if they wasn't the most positive person, I would take the positivity from that person and apply it. So that all helped me somewhat build my character trait by taking positivity, bits and pieces from people that are positive and applied it to my life.
Numerous All-Star appearances, first team All-NBA, second team, I think 3 times, Rookie of the Year, and now the Ring of Honor. When you think about where that's going to rank for you, when you see your number up there in the rafters, where do you think that's going to settle in your heart?
That takes the cake, right? When I was a kid growing up I always wanted to be the best player for 100 years. That was kind of my prayer to God every night, you know, to be the best player for 100 years. And to see the 32 number in the Ring of Honor, it's like my prayers were answered in a sense, right? Because that's forever. And so throughout all my time of playing, all my perseverance, staying positive, staying out of trouble, staying focused, fighting back from injuries, trying to be the best that I can be, trying to be the best teammate I can be, has all came to the point of now being inducted into the Ring of Honor.
Cannot thank you enough for having us here in Miami, here at the Empire, enjoying your Blues Brothers outfit, the cigar. This is good stuff, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem, man. Anytime.